Sting. We got a headset here. Testing, testing, testing. Let me know if you can hear me and see me okay in the chat. Testing, testing. Anyway, we got to get our equipment all set up over here. It's December the 8th. It's 10:01 a.m. on the East Coast. This is Coffee with Frankie. I am Frankie. This is the coffee. Let me know if you can hear me okay in the chat. Harlan's here. Please do hit the like button on your way in. Say hello. Say something. Harlan, can you hear me? Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing. Audio, testing, audio. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. And Harlan says we're good to go. I guess we're good to go then. This little thing pins on, so you got to pin it on. All right. Good to know. Well, it's Sunday. The thing is, you got to figure out where to pin this thing on. um, PC Salami is here. Harlan has his own coffee, chock full of nuts. Eh, you may be chock full of your own nuts, Harlan. One never knows, does one? But anyway, it's December the 8th, 2024. We're here in week 14 of the NFL season. And the Jets got to go on down to Miami here in Florida to play the Dolphinians. They got a lot of fast people on their team. They got a lot of fast people on their team. So, how are we going to hold up against these Miami Dolphinians? That's the question. The Jets stand at 3-9. The Dolphinians stand at 5-7. So they have a lot to play for. We do not. JoJo says this is going to be a crazy quarterback season. Drew Aller's the next Josh Allen. Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe JoJo. He made one throw with the guy pulling on his shirt. He's Josh Allen. Okay, yeah. It's going to be crazy quarterback season, but I got something for that. Probably not today, but um, the way to evaluate these quarterbacks because it's crazy quarterback eval season. People have a good game. I mean, what about Dylan Gabriel? Throws for 4 touchdowns in the championship game. He's not someone good. I mean, he's only 6 feet tall, but I mean, jeez. Drew Aller makes a hell of a throw with a guy tugging on his shirt, and everybody wants him to be Josh Allen. Now, maybe Drew Aller will be good. I personally think Drew Aller should go back to school and get another get another year in, especially with all the NIL money. But maybe he will be the next Josh Allen. And the problem is nobody really knows. But I'm going to try to do some. I'm going to try to figure out a way that we can all evaluate these quarterbacks fairly and correctly. It's going to be a challenging project, but every year this is the sort of thing that happens. This guy's going to be the next this one, that one's going to be the next the other one, and nobody knows. And most of them don't work out. From 2021 to 2023, there were 23 quarterbacks drafted in the NFL draft, and only about three of them turned out to be hits, at least so far. 20 of them, no bueno. So you never know with these people. Sure, he could be Josh Allen. He could be Josh Rosen. We don't know. Nobody knows. But he was definitely made a great throw with a guy tugging on his shirt. That we do know. Excellent throw on that one. Hope the second string Jets pushed into action can step up. Yeah. Yeah, we'll take a look at some of that. Phil Adams is here from jolly old England. Uh, Phil's over there 5 hours ahead of us. So it's around, 3 p.m. for old Phil Adams hanging out. Harlan says Drew Allen isn't Josh Allen. Drew Aller. Alar doesn't run much. He can run a bit. He's got some toughness that we know. He's got a decent arm. I like Allen. They're close in the names, anyways. But to say anybody's going to beat Josh Allen, that's a pretty high bar, man. Allen is elite. Berkovich is here. He says all rookie QBs need a good offensive scheme. Yeah, it helps to have good coaching. That's a thing I think I'm going to be talking about in the off season. Actually, um, is that for the fans? The fans, we obsess over these players. It's Drew Aller, Dylan Gabriel, freaking Cam and Shador, and this one and that one and everybody. But Quinn Ewers played like crap yesterday. Is he going to be good? I don't think so. But a lot of people like him. Um, so who knows? But we obsess over the player. What we don't obsess over is the coaching staff that the player is going to, right? Would Mahomes be Mahomes if not for Andy Reid and that coaching staff? He'd probably still be good, but you know. Or a better example of Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but would he be that way if not for Shanahan and all of the weapons and the protection and all the things that that team has when they're healthy? Probably not. But because he does, he's been able to perform. So, like for the Jets situation, we should be spending our time lobbying and talking about how much money are we paying this coaching staff. We got to pay for the best we can get, in my opinion. We cannot sit here and get a bunch of Dowell Logginses. And by the way, congratulations to Dowell Loggins, the new head coach of the Appalachia State Appalachians. So good for Dowell Loggins. And by the way, big news here in the Orlando area. Scott Frost is coming back to be the head coach of your UCF Knights, by the way. And that's, there's a reason I've been saying stay frosty at the end of my videos. Nobody really understood what I was talking about. Trying to give you guys a hint. Listen. But anyway, we're going to stay frosty here at UCF. But but the point is, who is the coaching staff? What kind of coaching do we have around these people? Now, if you look at it, Zach Wilson got a very bad deal. We hired a guy to be to be the quarterback coach, and the man up and died. Greg Knapp. Everybody forgets about old Greg Knapp. Was supposed to be big part of the process for bringing Zach Wilson along, and he died. And we tried to replace him as best we could, but he was the man tasked to do that. And then everything went off the rails. So all these young quarterbacks, it does depend where they go, who's in place, what system they have, who's the play caller, and how are we developing these kids. And it doesn't just go for quarterbacks, it goes for everybody on the team. We need coaches who are going to look at the skill sets of the players we have and say, how can we get the most out of these players, whatever they are, whatever those skill sets are. They don't have to be elite players everywhere. Be nice if we had some, but even if not, we need to figure out a way to coach them to get the best out of them. And in order to do that, in my opinion, we need to spend the money. Woody needs to open up the checkbook and go, look, um, we cannot uh, be frugal when it comes to the coaching staff. Absolutely not, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I would say. Offensive coordinator, offensive line coach. To me, offensive line coach is the most important coach on the entire staff. And and then the quarterback coach. And to me, I would even go so far as to be innovative. Can we be a little innovative? I would be innovative and I would hire a quarterback development coach. One guy, his whole job is to develop the young quarterbacks. We might have two next year, say. Jordan Travis is still on the roster, remember. That's his whole job. So he helps the quarterback, regular old quarterback coach, fine. But then he also, in his other time, he's developing, working on fundamentals with these young players. That quarterback development coach, if you had an Aaron Rodgers or a Tyrod Taylor on the roster, wouldn't deal with them. He just deals with the young players. And I would be innovative and do that. It's such an important position. Why wouldn't you take care to make sure that these players are going to develop properly? We can't just say throw it to the wind and say hope they develop, hope you pick it up in the room. No, let's coach these people, and it has to be a situation where if somebody's got a problem, somebody's struggling with something, you run toward that conflict. You say, "Yes, great. Somebody's struggling with something, fantastic. I get to coach them today. I get to fix a problem today. I get to help this young man develop his skill set." And so that's the type of coach we need. But in order to get those type of coaches, you got to pay them. So, Woody, if you're listening, open up the checkbook, pay top dollar for the coaching staff. That way, whatever young people we get in the draft and through free agency, whatever, we can coach them up to in such a way to help us win football games. We should be obsessing about the coaching rather than the players. It doesn't matter. I mean, the player matters. The skill set doesn't matter. Got to have certain things. You can't just coach up a tomato can. We understand that. But you got to have certain skill sets. But whatever skill sets you do have, then have to be developed. That's what I think. Oh, there's a lot of things here. So Phil, Phil says, while I was going on my rant, you guys were chatting. Phil says, yes, 3 p.m. over here. Yeah, so Phil's way ahead of us. 3 p.m. And probably Phil's going down to the old pub to get a pint soon. That type of time. God save the king. Greetings. Yeah. Rourke. Yeah, how about Rourke? I mean, there's all these people. Well, you don't care if somebody had an ACL injury. All these guys get injuries. Harlan, we get these guys who've never been injured in college, and then all of a sudden they show up and they get injured here. So what's the difference? I mean, unless it's serious, most guys, especially quarterbacks, recover from ACL. Now, not all of them do. You got to look at the individual medical report, but as long as it's okay that way, I don't care about that. I like a guy who's got. I'm going to put together a whole thing on quarterbacks. You guys are going to see, and a lot of you won't like it, but It's going to be based on something that Sean Payton said. So the interesting thing about Sean Payton is he had very specific criteria he was looking at when he took Bo Nix. And I heard him talk about this, and put it in the back of my brain. All right, he went through all this and explained why they liked and took Bo Nix. And I said, okay, well, let's see how he does. Like if he totally stinks, then this is a bad way to look at quarterbacks. But look what they're doing. They're 8-5. They're fighting for a playoff spot. They're doing much better than anybody thought they would. So it seems to me like a good criteria for judging these quarterbacks. So I'm going to put together something based on that, so that we can all have a standardized way of looking at these people. Rourke and this one and that one and whoever it is. Yeah, he got jetsed. Yeah, just our luck, right, PC? Just our luck. The guy goes out for a freaking bike ride in California, of all places, these Californios, and somebody hits him with a car and he dies. I mean, just our luck. What the hell? Who else does that happen to? Sad for him and his family, of course, but also for for us and our franchise and Zach's development that didn't occur. It's terrible. Bienemy. That would be a no. What has Eric Bienemy done other than live underneath the skirt of Andy Reid to tell you he could be a head coach here? Think about it, EJ. We need somebody who has done it before, who knows what they're doing, not just some guy who may be a smart, offensive mind, maybe. And Bienemy hasn't really done anything other than stand next to Andy Reid his whole coaching career. Maybe he'll be good for somebody, but I don't think for us. We need somebody at a much higher level. Bill Callahan, but Bill Callahan works for the Titans, I believe now. He's not going anywhere. I believe, unless I'm mistaken. Chris Bradigan's here. Says good morning. Good morning to everyone. Markovich. Well, some guys you just knew. James Morgan was probably just a terrible pick. Now, some guys, if no matter what you do, you can't coach them up. Like there's going to be some guys that are just tomato cans, and you can't coach them up, and then those people have to go away. Jabari Zuniga comes to mind. Others. Well, the thing about Woody being cheap is he's got to be able to spend on coaches. Like the thing is that the general manager and the head coaching jobs are, from what we can tell, well paid, and we're willing to give out 4, 5, 6 year contracts, which is a long contract in this realm. So that's not cheap. But is he willing to go to the 15, $18 million range for a head coach if it's Mike Vrabel? He's not going to do that for a first timer. But if Mike Vrabel comes in and is like, all right, this is sounding pretty good. I want $16 million, which is the high end. Remember, Sean Payton makes 18. Um, well, I think uh, Shanahan makes like 14. You know, so maybe he wants 14, 15, something like that. And for first timers, you pay five. Five is sort of the minimum for a head coach. Well, Woody's got to be willing to basically do three x what he normally pays the first timers. Is he willing to do that? I don't know. Can we get um can we get a reporter to ask him? I don't know. We have a bunch of bums as a beat reporters. Uh Never Image Entertainment. Good morning. Yeah, EJ keeps asking about these college people. EJ, we need people who have great experience as an NFL head coach. This job is harder than just about any other. We can't be taking these college people, even if they've dipped their toe in NFL stuff, like as an assistant coach. We need an established NFL guy, in my opinion. Uh, Nightshade Jones. Hello. Joe Mike says successful teams scheme their quarterback strength to try to make their quarterback learn and coach a system. Yeah, exactly. Infrared is here. Yeah, so this is something that that we're going to use to recruit, obviously, the GM and the head coach, and say, hey, wait a minute, these jobs aren't that bad. We've lost. We had a bad record this year, obviously, but we lost a lot of close games. You know, 1 point, 3 points, 5 points, so forth and so on. And look at the roster. We got talent all over the roster. You know, we had bad coaching. If we get the right coaches in here and get a little luck, you could have success right away and figure out the quarterback. Um, and this is going to be part of the recruit, and we'll have a high draft pick, obviously. So this will be part of the recruiting to get a head coach and a general manager. Yes, please do uh, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new and watching this later. But mostly hit the like button. We'd appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about this game today. We got the Miami Dolphinians. So let's talk about the injury. In case you missed it, let's see if this works. In case you missed it, yeah. This is the old injury report. Who's injured? Who's in? Who's out? Brees Hall has been downgraded to out. So you will not see, in case you missed the news, Brees Hall is So we will not see Brees, and I would anticipate that we will not see Brees next week either. But I think he'll come back after that. Sauce Gardner was not downgraded to out yesterday, but he probably will be inactive today if I had to guess. Now, the good news is it seems like the offensive line people are good to go. Moses, AVT, and Olu, unless we get surprised today with the inactives, seems like they're good to go. Lazard will certainly be good to go. So Lazard is back, the Lizard King. And remember, he was playing well before he got hurt. So there's that. Mosley is now on IR. So his season is over pretty much. Old CJ Mosley, unfortunately, he's out for the year. Then we got to see what we want to do with him next year. Wes Schweitzer's coming back. So that's good. He'll be a backup, obviously, lineman if we need him. He's back on the roster, ready to go. John Simpson is ready to go. So that's good. John Simpson is also someone you could look at for a Pro Bowl nod, one of our few players who might be, you might want to vote for the Pro Bowl. John Simpson has been excellent for us this year at guard, in case you didn't know that. Um, and so he's back with us next year and should get an extension, in my opinion. Stiggers is sick. He'll be out. So we called up Kendall Sheffield, and Xavier Newman will probably be inactive today, if I had to guess. Now, the big people for the Dolphins who are on this list here, Teron Armstead is always on this list. He probably will play, but he could be out. He is in and out of the lineup a lot for them. He's obviously a great left tackle, and when he plays, that's a big plus for them. So if he happens to be out, that would be big in terms of that. All these other people are going to play, except for Bradley Chubb is still out. He's recovering from ACL. He's coming back, but not today. Probably will be next week. All these other people are good to go, except for Raheem Mostert. They're saying that Mostert is now going to be out. So that means more carries for Devin A. Chain and whoever their third running back is. I don't remember off the top of my head. I think the rest of these people are going to be good to go. But Mostert out, that's pretty big. He's a really good player. Chubb is not making it back, and then the one to watch will be Teron Armstead. If he doesn't play, that'll be big because he is so good when he does play. But the rest of these people should be good to go. We'll check the inactives if we have time at 11:30, but that is how it looks as far as the injuries are concerned. PC says Lazard will be a big help for A-Rod. Yeah, well, he was performing very well before he got injured. So that was before we had Devontae. So now, you know, you're going to have three wide receiver sets with Garrett and Devontae and Lazard on the field. You wonder if they might put in some four wide receiver sets. You wonder if this is going to cut into the reps that Malachi gets, Scratchy Malachi. Uh, but we'll see. I would like to see Malachi Corley get more involved in the offense and see what the kid can do for next year. Don't forget, most of these people are now auditioning for next year. You know, what kind of role are they going to have? Are we going to keep them, get rid of them, so forth and so on? So we'll have to see. Yeah, Markovich says we always have first-time head coaches. Yeah, the only one we didn't was Gase, going all the way back to Parcells, of course. But yeah, at this point in time, you'd hope Woody freaking learns. Uh, these first timers, and I'm hoping that it's not that he's just cheap and he knows the first timers are the cheapest. We can I don't think we could have a first timer this time. I mean, unless you want to tell me Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson, all right, I'd roll the dice with them, I guess. But I prefer an experienced one if we can get him. Obviously, the best one is Vrabel out of that group. So PC been watching some Dolphin football apparently. Most are really good, but his playing time has been limited since he has had a case of the dropsies this year. I guess his late game fumbles cost the Finns two straight games after Tua came back. Hmm. Interesting. Well, they also have Achan, who's excellent. So, and then they got another guy, Jalen Wright, I believe his name is, from the draft this year. And Mostert's getting old, so it's odd that he. It just goes to show that those things are kind of, you know, luck more than anything. I mean, I think Mostert is a dropsies guy or fumbles guy. I think guys are just getting really good at the peanut punch, and putting their helmet on the ball. A lot of times, if you watch a lot of these games on Saturdays, these college games, guys are just getting really good at punching the ball out, and then it happens on Sundays also. So it's one of those things. We saw Brees Hall do it a couple of times in the last game. All right, moving on. Moving on. Something else to watch in this game will be the matchup between Chop Robinson and Olu Fashanu. Dolphins Chop Robinson faces ex Penn State teammate Jets Olu Fashanu in key matchup, says David Furones from the South Florida Sun Sentinel from Miami Gardens. Matchup of left tackle versus edge rusher that might be seen for many years to come in the AFC East will present its first installment on Sunday, the article says. And the two parties involved were college teammates who went to their respective NFL teams in the first round of the past draft. Miami Dolphins outside linebacker Chop Robinson, aka Choppy Robbie, will square off against New York Jets left tackle Olu Fashanu for the first time as professionals. Memories of facing Fashanu in college practices stay engraved in Robinson's memory. I would just say really one-on-ones every day in practice, Choppy said. When I first got to Penn State, I kept hearing the hype about Olu. And then once I went out there, I just tried to burn him off the ball, and he put me down to the ground. I was like, okay, yeah, he's the real deal. Real deal Holyfield. So we might have something in old Olu. Let's hope so. But after he got that rude awakening, Robinson would get him back on a later rep, of course. Oh, yeah, 100%, he said. Always got my payback. Yeah, sure. Both rookies have made progress as they go deeper into their NFL seasons. Robinson had his first 3.5 career sacks coming a 4 game stretch, and then Fashanu. So Fashanu says, Chop's my dog. We talk, we're brothers, we got super close. For him and I, it's a very unique situation. It's two guys, both in the same area, ended up being at Penn State at the time in our college careers, played on opposing sides of the ball, and end up going in the first round. Super excited, looking forward to it. Fashion News recollection? Absolute wars. Wars. We truly made each other better going at it in practice, so forth and so on. So that's something to watch today. Let's see how Choppy Robbie does against our guy Olu. Hopefully Olu wins. In case you're curious, this is old Choppy. In case you're curious what he looks like, he's number 44 on your screen, number one in your hearts. And these are his grades for the year. So he's been doing pretty good. He's got a 68.5 overall grade. That's pretty good for a rookie. He's missing too many tackles. Sound familiar? Uh, Excellent pass rusher grade here, 77.9. But he's missing too many tackles. He's missing 33% of his tackles. That is not good. So that's the coaching point for Choppy. Let's work on these tackles, okay? According to this, he's got 4 sacks. All right, not too bad. 4 sacks, rookie year. The season's not over yet. He's got what, 37 pressures? That's good. But if you look at his pressures, 10 of them came against New England in week 12. So New England has basically no offensive line. New England's going to be in a weird place this draft. They would really like to get that kid, Tet McMillan, whatever his name is, the big tall guy who catches everything, mosses everybody. But at the same time, they have no offensive line. So, 1/3 of his production came against New England, which has no offensive line whatsoever. But otherwise, he's had some decent games. Las Vegas, the Rams. You know, so that's what he's been doing. He's been apparently getting better. So we may want to take a look at old Choppy Robbie during this game. Phil asks, when will the report for the 33rd team arrive? Well, within the first month of the season ending. Remember, some people they can't talk to. So right now they're talking to all the people who are not employed by the clubs. Anybody in college, anybody who's a free agent, anybody they're looking at there. And so they're doing all of that work, but they can't talk to people who are still employed by the clubs until what, the first week after the season or whatever it is. So within a month after the season, that report will be done. I would guess, I would say. Joe Mike says the Jets need discipline. Yeah, right. That's what I think. I mean, we need guys who are going to install discipline and guys who are going to coach people to get the most out of them, regardless. Without them being elite players. All right, so that's Chop Robinson versus Olaf Shanu. Interesting matchup for this game. Now, switching over to the media. This is a sort of a quick hitter. Nick Wright signing Fox extension, cementing future face of FS1. Now, what I'd like to know is, do you guys watch this dude? This is him. This is sort of the. This is him over here, Nick Wright. This is sort of the trend in some of sports media I call like douchebag TV, where you just have douchebag takes all over the place, but they're exciting. They keep people watching, I guess. Uh, so my question to you is, do you watch Nick Wright? Is he an exciting person on the sports talk scene? Now, back in the day, we used to have Mike and the Mad Dog, and we used to have WFAN. Well, there still is WFAN, but that was all there is. They didn't have all these talk shows and things and ESPN and FS1 and blah 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 blah. You had a radio, and you listened to Mike and the Mad Dog. Uh, but now you have these people like Nick Wright, and he's signing a new long-term contract. According to this, he's 40 years old. He co-hosts First Things First. He's become one of the biggest stars in sports media, according to this. Yeah, see, you guys are saying no. Why? Like, this is my question. Phil says nope. PC Salami says that dude is an ass. Bradigan says Nick Wrong is awful. Well, who the hell's watching this guy? This is the thing I can't understand. They're giving this guy millions and millions of dollars. He's 40 years old. Nobody can stand him. And it says here he's become one of the biggest stars in sports media. Why? Who the hell's watching this guy? And then it says securing a long term relationship with Wright is smart business. He's become the network's second biggest personality behind Colin Clownherd. And by the way, who's watching Colin Clownherd? Another guy who this is called douchebag media or douchebag TV. You just become a huge douchebag, have these douchebaggy takes, and somebody watches it. Who? Who watches these people? Who cares what Colin Clownherd says? The only reason I know who he is people post his little clips to make fun of them. I mean, geez. House of Red Wine says, I would rather watch Max Kellerman. The old Kellerman. And Jets is here. Hope everyone's doing well. Mirkovich says, I have not watched repeat for ESPN or any other. Yeah, I mean, people are going to the internet, right, Chris? I mean, you go to the internet, you go to YouTube, you go to Rumble, you go somewhere, Who the hell watches these people? They're investing millions and millions of dollars from a business. This is a business website, right? So one of the things we do on this channel that hardly anybody does out there, FYI, we keep an eye on the business side of things, right? So the media is part of the business side, and so oh, this is front office sports over here. I'm going to do a report on them one of these days. But anyway, so this is like the business of sports. So we keep an eye on that here because we're interested in it. We got an MBA over here. And it says Nick Wright signing a Fox extension, cementing future face of FS1. And none of you people and none of me people is watching this guy or likes him or has any favorable impressions. So who the hell is watching this guy? Joe Mike says Nick Wright looks like the puppet on the tricycle from the Saw movies. He looks like a puppet or a muppet. And we're giving this man for millions of dollars. Cow turd is unwatchable. B. Trav is here. He says, guys like Frankie are going to be well, I don't know about me. Somebody is, probably Richie or Matt and Ryan or, what's his name? Jake. Not me. Look how many. I mean, I have 485 subscribers, B. Trav. I don't think there's not a product market fit, as they would say in business. However, Jake Asman, Richie, these guys, they seem to be doing well. I think it's going to be one of them. And But why is FS1? Why does Fox not see that? Like this whole thing, like to me, this whole thing, this whole set. Look at these lights. Look at this camera. Look at there's people behind here. You got these three people. He makes 10 million. He makes 5 million. He makes 7 million. That's a lot of millions. This whole set cost, whatever, millions and tens of millions of dollars. Meanwhile, people like Jake and Richie and those guys and probably All City Sports and other people like that, Jets X Factor, they sit in their house like I do with my background in my room here and cost me very little and probably produce a better show if I had time than these people. I don't need these lights and these cameras and the millions of dollars and this thing and a huge desk and this thing and these chairs probably cost $10,000 each. You probably got a $10,000 chair to sit their ass onto, and this little screen costs $10 million. This thing it all costs a lot of money. The hell are they doing? And yet here's an article saying this is smart business. I don't understand it. With the 72-year-old Skip Bayless. I mean, who the hell ever listened to Skip frickin' Bayless? I have no idea. He got to be a guy in media till he was 72. The move signals FS1 building around the young, charismatic right. He's charismatic, especially if the 60-year-old cowherd, did you know Clown Herd was 60, returns to his former home at ESPN. Or if he decides to, did you know he owned The Volume? Clown Herd. He has a podcast network. Why not? Why not? Because he sucks. That's why not. Right? And on air partners Chris Broussard and Kevin Wildes are delivering the goods. They're delivering the goods. This guy says he inserts a personal opinion. I think the trio has the best chemistry at FS1. Now, why is this opinion allowed to be in this article? Bad journalism. Who cares what your opinion is? I think the trio has the best chemistry at FS1. I thought this was a journalistic article. Now he gets into some facts. Okay. The show had its most watched year in 2023 since moving to the 3 p.m. time slot. 53% increase in viewership. So the viewership's going up. Why? 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 Then he says, I've been doing the show for a long time. The show has not always been great. Okay. Thanks to Wildies and Brew, we're able to do it, he says. I'm incredibly proud of the show. Gratifying that people are watching us. Who is watching them? It's hard to, as opposed to social media, you can't have a bunch of bots watching the show, I don't think. Who's watching these people? Right. A Kansas City native is the number one Chiefs booster in sports media. All right. So this is why he hates all the other teams that are not the Chiefs. So now you have a guy who's a partisan Chiefs fan, you know, basically the Mahomes. They got Patrick Mahomes out. Suddenly everybody's a genius over there. And he's got a Mahomes Mountain segment. And he's drawn celebrity guests like Heidi Gardner and Joel McHale. Who the hell's Heidi Gardner? Anybody ever heard of her? On the digital front, the What's Right with Nick Wright podcast boasts 165,000 subscribers. That's not that much for a guy who's on TV. While First Things First has 894. Really, and he has roughly 1 million social media followers. I don't know, man. I don't get it. Chris DiNardo's here. He's got some coffee. BC Salami says, I watched him a couple times. B Trav says, none of these jokers get ratings. Well, not according to this article, B Trav. I mean, unless they have bad information. Now, they didn't tell us what the ratings were. You understand? Like in the article, see what they did? He just said it went up. Well, first of all, he didn't tell us where it started from. If you have zero, it's really easy to go up 53%. Right. Right. I got one viewer. Okay. The next time I got six, we went up 500%. Yeah. But you have six viewers. I mean, so they didn't give us the real, the real numbers to see the trick he pulled. Phil says, my only source for Jet news is YouTube. Screw these other people. Right. Arlen says, none of these people are as good as Cosell was. Yeah. How would Cosell come in live on a Monday night football game? Phil says 40. Yeah, well, that's the point, Phil. It's not exactly going gangbusters. Chris says, media needs an overhaul. Yeah, I have a whole video about it, Chris. It's called The Media Masters. Check it out. uh, BC Salami reading comments on streams about Jets, and people don't just attack AR's gameplay; they attack his. Yeah, they're biased. They're definitely biased. I prefer watching Michelle Badel. I don't know who that is. Yeah, Rogan. But I mean, you know, Rogan's one thing. This is a good idea though, B Trav. Like somebody needs to put together. It's not just Rogan. It's Rogan and Lex Friedman and the All In podcast. All the big, huge podcasts. But then you got to figure out, like, okay, how they're getting views and how they're getting paid. What's their collective impact versus the real media, the legacy media, the mainstream media. Then you got to think about the YouTube accounts and all of that. Well, we'll see what happens. It's definitely something changing. Indy Jets is here. Hit the like button. Yeah, please do. All right. Well, so I don't know. Somebody's watching these people. I don't know who, but somebody is. Here's the trick they played in. Let's go over this for the media, right? Here's the trick they played in the article, right? They gave us one data point to basically support why Fox would do this. And it said it has posted a 53% increase in viewership through September. So, number one, very limited time period. Number two, we don't know where the starting point was. And number three, we don't have anything else. We don't know where they got this number from. So it doesn't have a attribution where they learned this from. How do they know? How does front office sports know what the ratings for this show is? They just take Fox News's Fox FS1's word for it. Do they do corroboration? So you see what they did. This is part of the. This is partly why journalism sucks today. This is how they pulled it over your eyes to make you think. Now maybe all of this is right, but a real journalist would tell you where they got this number, and they would give you where they started from. Again, if you start with one viewer and then the next day you have six, that's a 500% increase, but you still have six viewers. And so you might if say, well, it's gone up 500%. That's amazing. It's not really that amazing because you have six viewers. So you see how they pull these tricks right before your eyes. And he throws in a stupid, I mean, this clues you in right here. I think the trio has the best chemistry at FS1. First of all, that's your opinion. It's irrelevant to anything. Second of all, the best chemistry, this can't be quantified or defined, at FS1. Who are the other people at FS1? Do we know? What is FS1? And I don't even know what it is. If somebody said to me, Frankie, go uh go watch FS1 right now. I'd be like, what? How do I do that? I don't, where's FS1? Like, I don't have cable. I have, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't even find FS1 if you asked me to. So who else is at FS1? They have the best chemistry of FS1. Okay, maybe the other people at FS1 are, you know, dullards. Who are they? For so, uh, these journalists, and this is supposed to be a journalistic outfit over here. Look at how, front office sports. They got the ticker up here. MGM is now minus 0.49%. So they're pretending like they're a real journalistic outfit. We can even register for the Future of Sports Virtual Summit of the Year. Future of Sports Marketing. We can register now. I don't want to register now. But, they're pretending to be a journalistic outfit. This isn't some random website that I found, right? This guy, Michael McCarthy, is supposed to be some sort of media journalist reporter person. And yet he's throwing in personal opinions that mean nothing and, data that's really kind of sketchy. And they even put that sketchy uh, information in the uh, talking points at the top. Uh, Very, very sketchy. So then you have to wonder, where does this article come from? Perhaps it comes from the agent of Nick Wright looking to justify his client's new contract. He wanted to get an article out there that made it seem like a natural, like, oh, of course Nick Wright got this huge contract. Look at this information. That's something you have to consider. All right. Next article. Next thing. FS1. B Trev says FS1 has a pickleball tournament from Boca Raton on right now. Well, jeez. Yeah, this is why Indie Jets. This is why that video I put out called "The Media Masters" is so important, and nobody freaking watched it. Indie Jets. There's a video on this channel called Media Masters. I go pretty deep into this. You could go deeper, much deeper, but I didn't want to have a 3 hour freaking documentary. I think it's a 30-minute video. If you want to know more, check out Media Masters on this Frankie from Flatbush channel. It gives you a pretty good. It's a pretty good primer, I would say, on all of this political journalism, sports journalism, the media. It's basically the media in general. Harlan says, "What happened to the bell? Let me know. Can you hear it? I'm dinging it right now." The problem was the microphone and the interface and everything else, Harlan. Harlan, by the way, Mike McCarthy. It's a different Mike McCarthy. Harlan, I did a test on Friday evening of Rumble Studio. So right now we're in Restream, and Restream's working pretty good. I like it. But I did a test of Rumble Studio, and so there's a problem somewhere between the microphones and the bell and the interface. No bell, everybody. Yeah, all right. So you can't hear it. So this microphone now, this is my headset microphone, and apparently it can't pick up anything other than what's right in front of it. So the same thing with the other microphone. I was having that issue, and that microphone sounding good. There's different settings you could do in the software. So the point is, maybe if I use Rumble Studio, it might be better. And I did a test on Friday evening, and it worked pretty good. Worked pretty good, but I didn't do a test of the bell. So maybe next Friday I'll do another hang, Friday night hang, and um, and we'll do a bell test as well. Can't hear the bell. Yeah. Well, so we got problems with this bell, and it's basically microphone interface. And it's like if you want to hear the bell, then the clarity of the voice will not be as good because you have directional microphones, you have atmospheric microphones, and so forth. So you got to live with something. All right. Ding. Uh, well, next, I thought we would take a look at some film. You guys want to look at some film? Well, it doesn't really matter. We're going to look at it. Film of what, Frankie? One of the guys that a film of Nick Wright. One of the guys that we're going to have to make a decision upon this offseason, which is a very interesting decision, is someone who will be most likely starting today, who doesn't normally start. And that's number 26, Brandon Eccles. So I thought, wouldn't it be good to take a look at Brandon Eccles' tape? Because there's probably not a lot of us been paying much attention to Mr. Eccles very much. He's on our special teams normally, but um, now he's going to be starting today, and who knows how long Sauce is going to be out. He's probably coming back next week, but we'll see. But nonetheless, DJ Reed is almost certainly leaving the team as a free agent. And so Eccles, who's also a free agent, you might be able to sign for a decent mid-level deal if you think he can start. So if you think he can start is going to be determined by the film, which is what we have here. So I did a cut up of all of the past plays in which Brandon Eccles was on the field for the entire season. So let's look at all 99 of them. Okay. So here's number 26 right here. This is Brandon Eccles. This is the first game of the year. Now, here we're loading the box, right? So I would say this is cover one, looks like, with some sort of man-ish coverage on the outside. Loading the box. Look how we loaded the box with 8 in the box. So we load the box. So what should they do? This is something somebody mentioned this in my comments. What the offense does a lot of times, 85, 90% of the time, is determined by the defense. If you're Brock Purdy and you come up and you see all these people in the box, what should you do? Let's say you have a run called. Play comes in from Shanahan, Banana Hands, and it's a run. Should you run it or should you audible? I think you should audible. So they don't run. We stacked the box thinking they were going to run. They don't run. That's a problem. Here's Eccles. Now, we did a good job, I think, spot dropping our linebackers, and we dropped out. He's got a guy here. He's got a guy here. And he goes for Kittle, and boom. So we had 8 in the box. And even though we did a decent job spot dropping our linebackers, they were able to get Kittle behind us. And it looked like Eccles on that play was fine. I don't think he did anything particularly wrong, but able to find a hole in the zone. Big completion. Nice job by the 49ers. All right, now he's going to be down here. I guess he's going to be the left cornerback in this one. Sluggo's here. Morning, Sluggo. Merry Christmas to you and yours, Sluggo, as well. Haven't seen you around. Hope everything's okay. BC Salami. Yeah, a lot of guys are going to come here. You'll see. Especially if we get a good GM and a solid coach. And if we give them starter money, I mean, guys want to win, but they also want to get paid, first of all. So a guy like Eccles, he needs to get paid. He hasn't made any money so far in the league, really. So if we give him a good contract, why not? All right, now Eccles on the bottom here. He's covering Debo. Looks like we have some sort of man coverage here. We're in nickel with big nickel. Here's a safety. Here's a safety. Here's Michael Carter. So I think we're in man here. Looks like, anyways. But to the sideline, he released him to the middle. So again, not much we could tell there. This angle is not going to help us do our Brandon Eccles film study. I don't know what kind of tackle that was by Quincy. Why does this bring me back to this part? All right. Echoes down here. Looks like we're in, I don't know what we're in here. Some sort of zone, I guess. Yeah, that was definitely zone. So you see on this play, right? This is an interesting play. So Eccles is actually going to be in conflict. So they put one high. So this is called flooding. They're going to put one high, one low to put him in conflict. And you see he's kind of in the middle. And interestingly, Kittle's the low guy. And the ball goes over here. But in this concept, sort of have so probably Adams should be closing in here because there's no other what other responsibility does he have? And Eccles is taking, the probably the biggest threat would be 85. And I would say Adams probably needs to close ground faster. But again, that looks fine to me. I don't have any coaching points for him. Seemed like he read it properly. Again, a lot of these zones is about reading. So that's one of the positives about Sauce being out. And again, our pass rush forced a short check down there. But that's one of the good things about somebody being out. Eccles is going to be able to put even more reps on tape. Here he's see here. No, that's Adams up here, I guess. So now he's playing right cornerback. So this isn't good. But you see, he does have left-right flexibility. But he's trying to get a punch on the receiver, and he totally whiffs. So that's not good. And this is Juwan Jennings, third and Juwan, they call him. All right, and so not good, but not terrible, I would say. He's trying to get him off his route with a hand punch, and uh, he just, I don't know. His footwork is off here. Now he's off leverage. Maybe this guy confused him somehow. He tries to get a hand on, does not, but recovers pretty well. I mean, this is decent coverage here. So not terrible, but technique wise, not perfect either. with some sort of zone here. Giving a lot of cushion here on Juwan. Mm, that wasn't great. Now, on this play, we're probably not going to see it from this angle. So on this play, I don't know how should he play this better. So obviously we're in some sort of zone ish thing, but he's basically responsible for 11. Just, yeah, and 11 has an in cutting route. 26 has outside leverage, meaning he wants him to go inside, but he doesn't really have help. Maybe the safety needs to drop down to clog up. Maybe Clark is too deep here. I don't know, but he basically Purdy had his pick. He could have gone here or here, had a guy wide open. So good job. Hmm. It was a nice rep from JJ. Pretty nice. So here's JJ just to get remember what we're missing. He's going to try to run through the face of Trent Williams. She's like, "Good luck, buddy." But he moves him a little bit at least. Watch it. He's like, "All right, I got to go through his face." Eh, Williams holds up pretty well, but he moves him a little bit at least. That's Trent Williams now. No, no, no. Down here, he's mostly been on Juwan Jennings. Sluggo says a head coach who knows both sides of the ball would be nice. Yeah, Mike Vrabel, number one for me, probably for everybody. Yeah, looks like some sort of man-ish coverage, though we got so maybe two man. 30. What's 30 creeping? So normally Michael Carter would be on 15, but he's showing like maybe he's going to blitz, in which case safety would have to drop and cover 15. He does not blitz. Oh, look at this. Hey, these guys are legal man downfield. What about that? But anyway, this is a nice concept here. Look this way, come back here, and then set up these blockers. 65's a little late. Can Quinnen make the tackle? He can. So there, Quinnen just ruined their plans, but it was a nice scheme. Nice concept, anyways. Good job by Quinnen. Sniffed it out pretty well. Good job. Good job. That's it for that game. Now we're into the Tennessee game. He's up here. So you see, he does play left and right. He also plays nickel and dime. He played dime last year. I don't think he's dime this year. Let's watch this again. Hmm. There's some sort of zone coverage. They did an okay job. And watching these cornerbacks, it's hard to know if they're starter quality. I mean, from what we've seen, Good job by 99. From what we've seen, can we tell if 26 can be a starter or not? What do you guys think? It looks okay to me, but boy, it's hard to tell. You know, what do you guys think? That's what we're looking for. Can 26 be a starter? If so, you sign him. You sign him to replace DJ Reed at a lesser cost. Nice tackle by 56 at a lesser cost than DJ's going to get, and you ride with that. Save some dough. Played that bunch pretty well, but then he had to go for the tackle. It's JC Latham over here. Will Levi's. Most of these plays, and that's the thing about scouting too. Most of these plays, the guy doesn't do anything that that you can write about. Not involved in the play. Logo says need a DT, but having McDonald and JJ at DN together should be formidable. Yeah, imagine if we get Mason Graham. That'd be a hell of a unit. But 26 is up here. We're basically in our nickel package that we're always in. This looks like two man or some sort of maybe quarters or two man probably. Nice tackle by Eccles. Tackling a tight end. All right. 26. I see you. I see you. 26. All right. It was down here playing off. So maybe quarters ish. We're in our nickel. Infamously. I don't know, man. How's anybody going to scout this guy to know what he can really do? Better scouts than you, Frankie. Well, yeah. I mean, you see all these places. It's like there's going to be one play where you can really judge his technique. Here, this is some sort of zone because he didn't go with the receiver, and he's just kind of hanging out here. This doesn't look good for us. Too many people over here. Luckily, JJ gets in there. And there could be one or two goddamn plays on the tape where you can actually judge the guy's technique and so forth. It's like, that whole thing got blown up by JJ basically. Oof, it was a hit. We got to sign Sherwood. We know that. If they don't sign Jamie and Sherwood, we riot. We know that much. Out here. We know that much. They don't sign Sherwood, we riot. Now he's playing off, so it might be some sort of quarters. Yeah, nice throw by Levi's. Gets it in the window. The Mayo Man. The man loves his mayonnaise. That's a nice play design. That's a nice play design right there. Have everybody coming this way, then you leak somebody out. Boom. Nicely done. Clear out, leak out, boom. Nicely done. That's a nice play design right there. Man, Solly Thomas almost intercepted that. Just our luck. Just our luck. The Will Levi's experience right here. This is what you get with the Levis man. Crazy, crazy high. I would say a high variance quarterback. Feels some pressure. We pick it up. Oh. PC Salami says sources say Woody was the reason that Huff wasn't signed. Yeah, you got to wonder what was going on. Huff was someone who was never going to get $17 million from us and shouldn't have got it from anybody else. So the Eagles overpaid for him, but they're on their Super Bowl run, so they can overpay for whoever they want. It's their prerogative. He's a third down specialist who got $17 million a year, and that's fine. But what was more interesting was the Jerry Judy trade that he nixed. We could have had Jerry Judy over here, but he didn't want to pay Jerry Judy. So at some point, what happened basically, I think what you could reading all the reports and everything, what happened was Woody lost confidence in Sala and Douglas. I think he got tired of their bullshit, which basically, Sala after the season would probably put everything on Zach Wilson and said Zach Wilson was the reason. Zach Wilson, Zach Wilson, Zach Wilson. I couldn't possibly win without Zach Wilson. Yeah, but well, you guys drafted him. So I think he was like, all right, fine, we'll keep it in place. But at some point during the offseason, he lost faith in Douglas and Sala. That's what I think. And then he started stepping in more. No, I don't want to pay Jerry Judy. No, I don't want to pay Bryce Huff, which is the correct decision for Bryce Huff. And then the JFM trade, I don't that I don't know. He probably said, I don't know. That we have to wait for information on that one. I mean, if he said get his contract down to some crazy number or you have to trade him, I mean, I don't know. But I think that's what I think really happened. Woody lost confidence in those guys, and JD did the best he could, but the team just wasn't winning, and the owner was getting frustrated. Yeah, that was the fumble that lost the game for them, pretty much. Well, I think we need more information on that one. I just don't know. That's the one thing that just makes zero sense. You can understand Bryce Huff. He got 17 million. He's not worth 17 million, but you know, put it this way, if the Eagles get one sack out of Bryce Huff in the playoffs, let's say, and they win the Super Bowl and it was a key sack, Well, then he's worth every penny because they're on their way to the Super Bowl. Let's face it, the NFC is going to be probably the Eagles and Lions facing off. That would be great. Oh, I wanted to show something else too. All right, so in the middle of this film study, let's also look at this. In case you're wondering, in this matchup, I meant to do this earlier, where the Jets and the Dolphins rank in various metrics. The Jets are 22nd in PFF, 20th in ESPN FPI, 22nd in DVOA, 24th in net points, and 18th in net EPA. Whereas the Dolphinians are 23rd in PFF, 17th in ESPN FPI, 24th in DVOA, 21st in net points, and 20th in net EPA. But they can say, well, wait a minute, those rankings aren't correct because we haven't had Tua for a lot of our games. And so, when Tua is sort of the reverse Zach Wilson, whenever Tua's in the game, the offense is humming along perfectly. Whenever anybody else tries it, no bueno. Sort of the opposite, Zach Wilson. But if you look at this Delphi Power Rankings, the top two teams, Detroit, Philadelphia. So this would be an exciting NFC championship game. And then the next two teams are the Ravens and the Bills. So that would be an exciting AFC championship game. I think these are powerhouse teams right here. What if we got the NFC championship game is the Lions and Eagles? I think that's awesome. And then the AFC championship game is the Ravens and the Bills. That's pretty awesome. So I think, and I think at this point with these Delphi Power Rankings, things have started to sort themselves out in terms of who's who this year in the NFL. Early in the season, you have some outliers and some weird stuff happening. But also, if you're PFF, how in the world do you have the Buffalo Bills 14th? How? Meanwhile, the other ratings have them 2, 3, 2, 4, and you have them 14th. I mean, does PFF ever go back and look and see what the hell's going on? How do you have the Green Bay Packers 18th? Meanwhile, the other rating systems have them 4, 5, 5, 5, and you have them 18th. That's just called an outlier. The hell's going on? You wonder if PFF ever figures out, like, 1, 2, and 3, PFF has, pretty much consensus. The Lions, Eagles, Ravens. Then the Bills are 14th. What? That makes no sense. And the Packers are 18th. What? So I don't know, just some weird outlier stuff there. But yeah, I mean, this could be your NFC championship game. That's what I'm hoping for. Lions, Eagles. And I would hope the Lions win that game. That would be pretty amazing for Detroit. Go to the Super Bowl. Then Ravens, Bills. I wouldn't have any rooting interest. I guess I would be rooting for the Ravens, I guess. But that would be a fun game to watch. I mean, come on. Phil says PFF has a Falcons fan. I mean, but this is where's the Falcon? Oh, yeah. Right. So here's another. Here's another. Look at the Falcons. Falcons, every other ranking has them 18, 19, 21, 22. PFF has them sixth. What? What? Excuse me? I mean, come on. So you have to look at your system. But I mean, if they have a lot of people rating, I mean, they watch every single play of every single game and rate every single player and then do a composite. I mean, all those people are Falcons fans. So, but yeah, here's another outlier. Falcons are sixth, and meanwhile, 18, 19, 21, 22. Come on. And the Falcons have been disappointing. What's going on with Captain Kirk? What's going on with Captain Kirk? All of a sudden, he's throwing interceptions like a madman. What the hell's going on there? I thought the Falcons were going to be really good this year, and they were doing well, and then Captain Kirk fell off. some frickin' reason. Now everybody wants the Penix man in there. Well, I don't know if they're going to get the Penix man. M. Barney, Alex Karras. What about Wayne Funtz? Sluggo. How about him? What about Barry Sanders, the greatest running back who's ever lived? Well, one of them. What about Wayne Funtz? What about Barry Sanders? What about Megatron? How about them? What about Chris Spielman, brother of Pretty Ricky Spielman, helping us find our GM? What about him? What about Eminem? What about PC Salami? Steelers going to be tough. Yeah, Steelers are in there. They're going to be in the mix for sure. I mean, the Ravens fan. So the interesting thing is, like, if this is your AFC matchup, Ravens Bills, those are some fan bases that have experienced a lot of success, obviously, recently with their quarterbacks they have now, Lamar and Josh, but they haven't gone all the way. So, you know, it's like that's the only thing you could really say about Josh and Lamar is they haven't, they haven't put the ring. They haven't gotten the ring. Uh, and then Detroit, Philadelphia, Philly went there, and Hertz went and almost won, except for that holding call. No, but the Eagles went there with Hertz. So if they get back, that'll be time number two for Jalen. And then the Lions. And Goff has been there once and lost with the Rams. And the Lions, and then, the Lions fans have been waiting decades and decades and decades and decades. Sluggo says, Dick the Night Train Lane. Oops. Night Train Lane. Yeah. I mean, Detroit's one of these old school teams that's never, never, never had success. No, no Super Bowls. Zero. Obviously, the Eagles got one in 2017, and then they went back recently and lost. Ravens have a couple, I think, two, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, the Bills don't have any. So, one thing we have over the Bills, we have a Super Bowl. They don't. They went there famously four times and lost in a row, four times in a row. But, they haven't gone back in the Josh Allen era. And then, of course, you have teams like the Chiefs hanging around, the Mahomes era. If they don't get back, you got to worry about, Travis Kelsey getting another year older and Chris Jones and all them. Uh, then you got the Steelers, another interesting story. Um, of course, Russell Wilson, we'll see how he does. Do they sign him long term? What goes on with that? And then you got the Chargers, the Harbaugh connection. How much is he going to turn it around in the first year? The old Harbaugh, the Harbonians, and all of that. So a lot of interesting storylines here. But you see that in the Delphi power ranking system, things are congealing very nicely. The great teams are at the top, and it's hard to argue with any of these in terms of their overall ranking. The teams that are in the middle, and then the teams that are in the bottom are teams that are in the bottom. Carolina, Tennessee, New England, Las Vegas, Dallas, the Gigantes, the Jaguarians, the Browns, us, and the Dolphins. The only team you could say, wait a minute, should be higher is the Dolphins, but you have to rank them as a team overall. You can't just take out the two, you can't take out the non-Tua games. So Dolphins fans could hang their hand on that, hey, we're way too low because we have a bunch of games without Tua, and our team is completely different without Tua. Other than that, though, these rankings over time pretty much are. I think this is becoming a good system to figure out who are the real teams, who's the fakers, you know, who are the fakers and who are the real juggernauts. And you're seeing the juggernauts rise to the top. And look at the Vikings. You could say the Vikings are probably the most surprising team here at the top because, after all, nobody knew what to expect out of Sam Darnold. And so you'd have to say Kevin O'Connell doing a great job with old Sammy D. Uh, so But I would not want to see them in the NFC Championship game. I want this matchup: Lions, Eagles, and I want Ravens, Bills. I want the Chiefs out of there. I don't want the Vikings out of there. I don't want to see the Packers in there. I don't want to see anybody else. I want these four teams up there. Yeah, I'm sick of seeing Mahomes with Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swifty. We don't need to see any of them get knocked out. How about that? Let's see them get knocked out in the playoffs, so they don't go to the AFC Championship game, and we can get to see the Ravens against the Bills, the two elite Superman quarterbacks. Although you could also argue about Mahomes being Superman quarterback too, but Uh, that's what I want to see. Enough with the chefs. We've had enough with these chefs. Enough. Um, for that. So yeah, there you go. As far as that's concerned, I think we've had enough of the Brandon Eccles footage. I don't know what we can tell from looking at it, but let's see if we can find out who's active, who's inactive. We should be getting that information within the next 3 minutes. So we'll just stay on, see if there's any surprises in the active, inactive. So we got a tweet from Stefan Selling, excited to see Will McDonald face off against Terran Armstead. Armstead been one of the best left tackles in the NFL, but McDonald has been excellent in his own right. Going to be fun to watch. So that's something you can watch: Will McDonald against Teron Armstead. On the other side, you can watch Choppy Robbie against Olu Fashanu. So lots of different matchups. Phil says, watch party today. Yes, I do have the link. So yeah, I'll be joining Green Bean over there on the Green Bean channel, and I think Jeremy will be joining too. Maybe some other special guests. I don't know, but yeah, I got the link, so I guess I'm invited. I'll be watching the watch party over there. Come join us. Say hello. Keep in mind that emotions run high during the game. We may say some things that are not well considered during the game, so just keep that in mind. It's high, uh, high emotional time. Big news around baseball is that the Mets are reportedly approaching $50 million a year for Juan Soto. Meanwhile, the Miami Marlins are almost certain to begin 2025 with a 26-man roster that costs less than $50 million. So the Mets are going to pay one player the entire uh, cost of the whole roster of the Marlins. 15-year, $750 million contract for Juan Soto. A lot of people watching baseball still. And Juan Soto, one of the best, might be going to your New York Metsies. Yankees also in the mix, from what I understand. Not that I've been following baseball that much. Beat Trap says the watch party is usually better than the game. Yeah, I hope we bring you value. Let me know if you have any comments, suggestions, things you want to see, things you don't want to see with the with the game when we do our commentary. We try to bring you some interesting stuff. Markovich says, "What's with the Union Jack?" That is a very special flag, Chris. Was provided by our friend Phil Adams. It's a Jets Jack. It has all the Jets logos, has some British logos, American logos. It's called the Jets Jack. There's only 5 of those flags in the entire world, provided by our good friend Phil Adams, the great Phil Adams. and he's provided that to only 5 people in the whole world, and I'm one of them. So I proudly display it. There it is. It's a Jets Jack. It's a combination USA UK Jet fan flag. So it's awesome. Thank you, as always, to Phil Adams, the great Phil Adams, who says Jets fandom. It's emotional. Yeah. So yeah. So some things during the game we may say that's a little off color, a little off beat. Don't always take everything super literally, super seriously, because we might. Here's the inactives. So, oh, for God's sake, man. I don't know what this team is doing. The inactives are running back Brees Hall, offensive lineman Xavier Newman, expected. Cornerback Quantez Stiggers, expected. Edge Braden McGregor, expected. Cornerback Sauce Gardner, expected. And wide receiver Malachi Corley. So we're back to scratchy Malachi. What the F is going on, man? Steak, man. Why? Why is this happening? Why are they scratching Malachi? In case you don't believe me, here it is. Everybody else, understandable. This one, good. So we're going to get to see Alan Lazard catch some passes. Wonderful. Fucking great. Alan Lazard is a big part of our future. Devontae Adams is a big part of our future. So it's wonderful that they get to bump up their stats so someone else can get them. But you know, we we have a guy that we said go. We have to have this man in the draft. He's the fourth best wide receiver we've ever seen. He's going to be doing amazing things. He's incredible. We can't wait to get him. And this. Why? Can somebody please explain this decision? Oh, great. Alan Lazard can catch a pass. Oh, wonderful. Devontae Adams can add to his wonderful career stats. Okay, great. How about developing people? God's sakes, man. Well, this is the problem, when you have a coaching staff that doesn't give a crap about next year. Our coaching staff knows they're gone. So what do they care about next year? They got to try to win as many games as possible because it's their resume, I guess. So this is part of the problem when you're Woody Johnson and you make dumb decisions like firing your head coach 5 games into the season when you're 1 game out of first place. You have now a lame duck, coaching staff who does not care. You have a lame duck, coaching staff that does not care, and they say, "Well, we're not going to develop this man. We got a veteran who can help us win games and make us look better for our resume because we all got to get jobs next year. We got to get jobs next year." It's bull crap, man. Scratchy Malachi. I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with Aaron Rodgers. I think it has to do with this coaching staff. Markovich, well, Garrett's going to be here for a couple of years at least, but I mean, I don't know how much the players really care about developing Malachi. The players, they're probably just like, "Well, whatever." I mean, but the people who are looking at this team long term, I mean, they're just looking at it like, I got to have a good game. I got to get my career going. Yeah, right. This is the thing about it right here. Can't they scratch Gibson? What is this fascination with Xavier Gibson? What has he done other than one punt return against Buffalo? He's an average to below average punt returner. He adds nothing to the offense as a receiver, and we can't train Malachi Corley to catch a punt. We can't train anybody else to catch a punt except Gibson, and therefore he has to be on the squad, but Malachi can't get on the field. This is why this is part of the problem when you have terrible coaching. Our coaches run toward comfort and not toward conflict. Malachi was having trouble catching punts, then you coach him up to catch the damn punts. So that way you can use him and keep him on the roster as opposed to Gibson, who adds very little. So, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Uh, Well, we'll see at 1 o'clock. More disappointment from Jets management. God's sake, man. Is anybody going to say anything about this? Nope. Apparently not. NYJ Mike says sauce and breeze. Yeah, but what about Malachi? Jake Legando says this team is undeservedly loyal to Gibson and it's insane. Correct, Jake Legando. Aiden says Corley. Eagle Fang says Corley, what a bust pick. Is he a bust pick or does he not get a chance? I mean, Corley, Matterall says. Some people are picking up on this at least. Chris Pager says, yeah, why play Corley when the season is over? So, uh, for today, at Green Bay.